Good morning. We're still doing that thing that consumes my life for the foreseeable future. Watering corn. It's 7 a.m. Traveler should be done at 7:30, and we gotta take fuel up. So I'm filling the fuel tank, and I'm gonna grab a Dr. Pepper with peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and we're gonna go. All right, well, we're up here. Our gun is in. It's done reeling itself in, but our pump is still running. It should shut off in the next 5 or 10 minutes. I could go shut it off manually, but it'd take me longer to run there and back than just to wait for it to shut off on its own. So a little extra water right here isn't going to hurt anything. But we can crank it up and lift up our stabilizer legs, all of them, and get this ready so that as soon as it does shut off, all we have to do is pick up the pipe and move to the next one. The one bad thing is that it sprays my lane a little bit when it's here, so a lot of times I'll just air watch it and then click that over before it gets to the lane so that it goes back the other way. I have mentioned about a monitoring system. I got an email yesterday or the day before saying that it should be here on Saturday, which is fine. But it will solve this problem, because it will, as soon as the Traveler shuts down, send a signal to the pump and shut the pump off. That would be handy. That would be very handy. Then we don't have to mess with timers and making sure we've got them set just right. So that's good. The other thing, you probably can't tell from just the video here, but we had a little mistake yesterday that it didn't make the film, because I didn't find out about it until late last night. But we're still in the same run that I started at noon yesterday. We're not still in that same run because we were just putting on that much water and going that slow. Oh no. Yeah, there's the pump shutting off. So it's slowing down. Pretty sure. Yep. There's just a lot of head pressure because we're kind of on the downslope of a hill. So anyway, time to move it. But what I was saying is we're still in the same lane that we started at noon yesterday. So it turned out that I didn't get the timer set right yesterday. After I got back and Dad was picking me up because I brought the 4020 up here, I went back to we were on our way back to the pump to set the timer, and we found those bad seals and the leaks in the pipe. And once we found that, I shut everything down and I had to go and fix it. Well, I never went back to set the timer correctly. And so we ended up just sitting here not doing anything for about 8 hours until I came up to move it. And I'm like, well, crap. Yeah, so that was why I started it back up late last night. And we finished the run. That monitoring system would also have told me that. Okay, we are ready to move up to the next lane. We're gonna trim some trees up with this run, but we're up and running. Should be done just before 6, 5:45. It's a little bit shorter than a full pull, but it's close, so all is good here. I do need to bring gas up. I haven't done that yet. It's a pretty big gas tank, but we're probably okay for this run. We need to bring 5 gallons of gas up for the little Honda motor there, so good to go. Oh, look, Dad's having fun this morning doing a little pole dancing with the sprayer. Gotta leave the boom tips folded in to get between the poles and the road on this first pass here. Spraying beans. Some of the later planted beans that were sprayed later are ready to be sprayed with the post-emerge pass. It's supposed to be 4 weeks after the pre-emerge. We're still a few days before that, but there's a lot of volunteer corn coming on a couple of these fields, and in some of the high organic matter pockets, the muck pockets, we've got a lot of giant ragweeds coming in, and so we're hitting them early using that sequence. It's a dual and glyphosate combination product, and some clethodim in there for the volunteer corn. So Dad's spraying beans today. I think he was going to spray several fields up here and then head to Berkey. Maybe tomorrow head to Berkey or this afternoon. I don't know. But anyway, that's what he's doing. Just crossing the river to get back to my pump. That's a big old turtle. You're in a bad spot there, dude. But I'll leave you alone. So I had another one of these risers that was leaking. This one was spraying out quite a bit of water, so I went and got a new one, which is why we're back up here, and I just shut the pump off. So we got to take this cap off and switch it. The problem is there's a lot of water that's going to come out of here as soon as I loosen this up, and I'm going to get soaked. I wish I had a good way to film this. If I had my GoPro, I would set it to the side and let you see it, but I don't, so I'm going to film what I can here for a second, and then I'm going to have to put it down while I actually do this. Yeah, this is going to be all kinds of fun. All right. Well, I didn't get as soaked as I thought I would there. We got a little river here, but got it in there. Oh, hand tight, and it stopped the leak. Imagine that. New seals. Works like a charm. We'll crank her down because something tells me 150 pounds of pressure on it might make it leak. And we can start stuff back up. All right, well, I got the fuel put in the generator. Everything is working pretty well here, and we're good to go. I'm trying to get, I got that new switch. Did I show you that yesterday? That switch for my vacuum pump. It's the wrong size hole, so I tried to get some washers and shimming it out, and yeah, I'm making progress, but I need a couple of short pieces of wire to make some jumpers, and anyway, we're getting there on that. It's not a critical thing, but it is nice when it works. So we should be done up here until 5:45 or 5:30. We'll probably come back up. We may come between now and then just to double check and make sure everything's still working like it's supposed to, but that is the plan. Here is that we'll come back up at 5:30 and be ready to go. Wanted to show you this. This is the riser that I took off. Let me get the bolt out of it. And I don't know how well you can see it, but this center piece here is basically completely gone. I'm not sure how it was sealing before. When before we used it, it was sealing up all right, and I don't know how, because here is what a new one looks like, and you can see there's a whole big thing here in the center to seal around that bolt, and this one, that whole thing is basically gone. So sunlight, you can see it better. Yeah, that one's garbage, but we've got that fixed, and yeah, good to go. So I have been getting a lot of questions about the irrigation stuff, several different questions multiple times, and I am not very good at answering questions succinctly. So we're going to kind of pick one over the next few days, every day, and try and answer it. Today's big question that we are going to tackle is, why don't we just put a pivot up? Yeah, why don't we just put a pivot up? That is a great question, and if any of you are familiar with irrigation or you have any knowledge of it at all, you'll know that what we're doing here is super uncommon. Nobody uses hard hose travelers or travelers in general, and they certainly don't use them in big acreage stuff like this. They're much more common in specialty crop areas and for some livestock guys pumping gray water through them. So why do we use it? Well, there's a few reasons. First and foremost being cost. When we bought this, we had not irrigated ever before. It's very, very uncommon for anybody to really irrigate around here, unless it's a dairy trying to get rid of gray water, their manure. And so we don't have to have it. We can grow a crop most every year without irrigating. It's not like Nebraska. It's not like Southwest Michigan. We don't have a lot of sand. We don't have to irrigate. We do it because I think I can increase our yields enough to justify it. And I think that we've proven that. So when we bought this system, it was a cheap-ish way to prove the concept that it would actually work. So that was a big one. This costs significantly less than putting up a pivot. Other advantages to the Traveler versus a pivot. This is mobile. We can go to any field that we have a water source and run this. Now, in reality, this is the field that we irrigate the most. It's the field we irrigated 2 years ago. It's the field that we're irrigating this year. We're not going to pick that pipe up and move it to another field. I could make a pass here and then pull everything, go to another field and make a pass somewhere and then bring it back up here. We did that the first year or two. That's a bad idea. Don't do it. It's too much work, and it's more important to keep putting water on rather than just putting an inch on. When we first started, we thought an inch or two at just the right time would make all the difference in the world for us, and it does. But 3 or 4 inches on those same acres, if we need it, makes as big or bigger impact, and it keeps increasing the yield enough to justify just staying there and not moving the pipe around. So the fact is, it's still mobile, and when I don't have corn up there, I could irrigate the beans, or I could go to this field. This is a cornfield that's on the river that if we took them to different rotations, where this one was beans when the one up there that we're irrigating now is corn, then every other year we could be in a different field. I can't do that with a pivot. Pivots are stationary. They stay in the same spot and make the same circle. So the Traveler allows us to cover more unique acres and different acres in order to maintain maximum profitability, let's call it. Another advantage to our hard hose Traveler system is that we can cover a much larger percentage of the field than we could with a pivot, or at least a reasonably priced pivot. You can put as many little pieces in as you want in some of these fields and cover the whole thing, but your cost per acre goes up dramatically with small pivots and little ones that, you know, don't make full circles and stuff. So when I get back to the farm here, let me pull up the overhead satellite image of this field. I'll show you the shape of it, the outline of it, and why the hard hose Traveler makes sense for us. Okay, so here is the map of the field that we are irrigating in, and this is maybe a little bit better to give you the layout than what our drone footage was, because you can see the shape and the outline of the field. So we got a little woods up here, we've got a building site down here, there's a ditch that cuts this corner out of the field, road to the north, and then we've got this triangle here, and we've got another triangle over here. They're cut off by this river. Our pump sits right down here in this corner, and then the pipe goes all the way along this edge and straight through a path that's through the middle of this field. Our lateral runs then go east to west. If I zoom in here, I think, yeah, there you can start to see those lines. So we started in this path right here. So we've done both poles this way, we've done this one, we've done this one, and we are making the pole right here, right along this edge of these trees right now. Okay, so we've got a pole this way, and then we've got 2 more lanes to the north yet to finish up this side of the field, and then we're going to come back down here, hit this one here, this one, and then we've got this first, what I consider the first run, because it's the first one that comes out to the road. This is the one that we drive back to get to the pump most of the time. So that's the layout of the field. There is a lane back here through these end rows that we put in. That's the one that allows me to escape from when we pull the gun out and, you know, be in the middle of the field and get back out to either the river to the pump, or there's a path through these woods that gets us back out here to the road. So I went ahead and pulled up a Google Maps image of this field, and you can see the irrigation lanes a little bit. This is actually after a harvest, and it wasn't in 2020 because the lanes are in just the wrong spot. This one should be right along the woods. So this was from when we had corn up there, probably back in 2017, 15 maybe. I don't know. Either way, it shows you the layout. So our pump sits down here in this bottom corner. We lay pipe all along this fence row, which this fence row is now gone. It's just a lane there, and then we have this center lane that goes all the way out across to the center of, or to the far end of the field, the north, right along the road here. You can see there's a hole here in the middle. That's a wet hole that we've not had crops in a lot of times, but we do this year, so that's good. That'll help out the field. And then you can see all these other runs are the poles to the side, and like I said, they're off just a little bit, but that covers the vast majority of the field. Here's the last lane. Here's what I would consider the first lane. But yeah, we started in basically, well, yeah, these are not quite in the right spot for where we're at this year. But anyway, so that's the layout of this field. We'll go back to the My John Deere here. Now, let's look at this as far as an efficiency of what we're covering, right? So with our hard hose traveler, we're pulling down these lanes, and we cover all of this, except for maybe the extreme corners. We cover all of this second lane. We cover all of this stuff in the third lane. We miss a little bit in this corner right here. So, but here's our fourth lane. We're covering a huge chunk of this. Here's our fifth lane. We're going to miss a little bit right here along this barn. There's a little up in this corner along the road here. We're pulling that gun right out to here, so we're shooting out into this blue triangle a little bit, which the colors are different varieties, just FYI. We're shooting out here a little bit, but this is the big area that we are not covering. The vast majority of this blue is not getting watered, okay? This lane here we're getting a lot of. This one is basically covering us to the edge here and getting a lot of this. And then we've even got a couple lanes in this yellow triangle back here. And then we have another point down here that we're missing. I can cover basically 140 of the 170 acres that are in this field that we planted. There's actually like 175 in the field, but we planted 170. So where would I put a pivot in this field? Well, let's collect our circle tool, and let's say we put one right about here. And it could fit about like that, right? So we've got a woods here. We can't go over the woods. We've got a property line corner here that I suppose we could work out a deal with the neighbor to go over that, but that's a boundary. And then there's a barn up here. You can't go past the barn. And so we can set that circle in there, something like that. And how many acres are we covering? 68.1. Half. I'm covering half as many acres with a full circle pivot than we would be with our traveler, or what we are with our traveler. Now, I know there's corner systems that you can get. They add a lot of cost to the pivot, but you can get corner systems to pick up some more of that. And we could do something a little bit different where instead of a full circle pivot, we went with something that would make like a 3/4 of a circle. So let's say we put the center right here. Our circle looks something more like this, right? So we're over the woods. We obviously can't go through that, but we can start it. Well, we can't start it out there in the road, can we? We'll go like that. So you could start it about right here to this center. So you're going to miss a bunch up in this corner. It can make a 3/4 of a circle all the way out to right here. Okay? But you're going to miss a little bit here. You're missing some of this. You're missing up along the road. But that would get us about 115 acres. Still not 140, but a lot more of the field. There's a lot of more cost involved with a bigger pivot because you're longer than our full circle one would be, and you lose some efficiency because those towers then don't cover as many acres because they can't go all the way around, and you got to do kind of a windshield wiper pattern where you're back and forth, and you lose a little efficiency that way. So that's why we kind of like that hard hose traveler in this situation, is because we can cover a huge chunk of this field that we would not otherwise be able to do with a pivot.
Okay, now that all said, pivots are awesome. I would love to have a pivot. Do you know how easy it would be to just go boop, push the button and it's done, and it's on, and it runs, and I don't have to do all of this work, and it would save me a ton of time and effort. Yeah, I would love that. The idea when we bought it was to prove the concept that irrigation pays and it works for us. I think we've done that. We could invest in a pivot. It's a hard thing to spend a ton of money on, but something we might do. I've got some packages. That's good, but we'll take a rest here for a second. Anyway, there is another system that I am very, very, very interested in. So if you guys watched my video from the farm show back in February when we went down to Louisville, there was a item there called 360 Rain. So it's from this 360 Yield Centers, and they have this autonomous irrigator that just waters the field, and it works in there all summer, and it just goes. And I think this field is extremely well suited for a system like that. If any of you have any connections or work for 360 Yield Center and you're looking for somebody to use one of these, send me an email. I'm very, very interested for 2 years from now when we've got corn up there again. So, yeah, something that I think is really cool. Basically, if you're familiar with their Y drops that they're using on sprayers and nutrient applicators and stuff, it's a supersized version of that with a nozzle that drops down on puts water right on the row, and it just waters. It's really cool system. So you guys can Google it, look that up if you want to. But I would really like to have one of those up there for the next time we have corn there. But we'll see. So I haven't really shown you guys this, but when I'm up there at night irrigating, it's very dark by the pump and stuff. Like all I have is headlights from the truck or Gator or whatever I'm driving. So I bought this light. We're going to mount this light. It's not going to be very high. I understand that. It's meant to go up high, but it'll be fine. And we're going to, I don't know if we're going to mount it to the generator. If I mount it to the generator, there's a 110 volt plug right there. And I got this cord and I can just wire it in and plug it right in. Or we can mount it to the pump and it'll actually run on 277 volts and we can wire it right into the motor circuit. So, I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get up there. It's like I got time to do something since I don't have to be up to the irrigation field till 5:30. Yeah, we're gonna get the corn planter out and finish power washing that off. Had some trouble with our power washer the last time we were power washing with it. We tripped the thermal overload on the motor itself, but it has cooled down enough since then, a week and a half ago, that it reset, or I was able to reset it. I don't know if it's going to work very good or not, but we're going to try it. We'll get the corn planter brought up here, unfold it. There was a point where I thought about doing some maintenance to the corn planter, taking some bearings apart and that kind of stuff. That is not going to happen, at least not until winter time. So we are going to get it out and get it cleaned up, and then park it in the barn in the back here and be done with it until winter. Why, hello there, 8RX. Ah, what a pretty tractor. I haven't got to drive it for a while. Let's drive it. I mean, around the front of the barn, but nonetheless, we're gonna drive it. Now this is a tractor cab. Sorry, 4440. 8RX has got the comfort category. Got you beat. So we've already spent parts of a couple of different days power washing on this. We just need to go through and be a little bit more specific in getting some of the row units and stuff off or cleaned up. So I'm gonna take the time to do that here, and then we're gonna call this good enough. Oh, the one other thing we have to do is winterize the fertilizer system. We've drained as much out as we can, but we need to dump some of our ARV antifreeze in the tank. And then advantages of a hydraulic pump is we can just go somewhere out in the edge of the field or the grass and run it until we flush the RV antifreeze through all of the lines, rather than having to sit there and spin a tire over and over and over. So it's a good deal. Let's get her cleaned up first. I assume you guys have seen me power wash before, and this is not really that exciting. At least I hope so. So I'm not filming very much of it. Look quick while it's still wet, and it looks halfway decent. I'm calling it. We're done power washing on the planter. It's not perfect. It's not as shiny a paint as it once was, but it's 10 years old, so good enough. All right, we're gonna dump some RV antifreeze in the fertilizer tank and get that system flushed, and then we can go unhook this thing. Whoops. Everything's harder with one hand. That one is 8 gallons. We're gonna start there. We got more if we need it. This tractor's so quiet. It's really nice. We're just gonna pull out here back behind the barn and unfold to flush that RV antifreeze through the lines, because there is still some fertilizer in the lines and I don't want it to go on the concrete and right down into the drain. I'd rather put it on some dirt where it'll get used. So out here, where we're eventually gonna plant grass or grow more crops or do something. Okay, let's see if we can figure out how to run some fertilizer system stuff through there. So first thing we gotta do is engage the pump. It's outlet number 6, and then we go into our monitor And the rate controller page, I should be able to go to diagnostics, tests, and do a rinse cycle, nozzle flow check. Let's try rinse cycle. Press start to begin rinse cycle. Oh yeah, that's exactly what we want. We'll turn our master on and hit start, and it should be spinning our pump. There you go. The little balls are jumping in the flow meters. Eventually they will turn pink, assuming I've got the valves open. Yep, we got stuff coming out. There they went pink. There they went pink. And the rows are pink. Okay. Well, that was easy. And awesome. Well, you can't see anything. Sorry. Alright, we're done. That was all we needed to do. That was way easier than turning the old ground drive wheel by hand until you got there, because you had to turn that thing forever. Upgrades paying off. It paid off long before that, but you get the point. So, all right, we're going to back this into the corner of the barn where it is going to live until February, March, something like that. First shot, that doesn't look too bad. Let's go out and see. Yeah, can't get a whole lot closer unless we fold our light in, which we could do, and then get over 6 inches. I think we can come back a little bit more yet. A little, not a ton. Oh, I lost a jug. I had two up there. Lost one. Whoops. Didn't need those. I'll set it here so I can at least see it and remember that it's there next year. All right, we're going to back up a couple more feet. Unhook it. All right, we've got a couple of monitors now that we can get out of here. Our nitro alert for our anhydrous, we're done with that. And the fold box for the planter, we're done with that. And that'll free up a bunch of wires. So that's good. We're gonna get those out of here. And we're probably gonna give this tractor a quick bath. And the windows are what are driving me crazy here. So I wanna wash them down and then use a towel and dry stuff off so we don't get the water spots. Can you see the water spots? Here, I'll show you the water spots. How did I do that before? Focused in on the wrong stuff. I don't know. They're really bad though. This is the stack of monitors and wires that we get to take out of the tractor when it's not planting season. Unfortunately, that mess right there has to go in. I think that's it. For grain cart purposes. Okay, let's hit the tractor with a little foam from the foam cannon, and we'll dry it off real quick. And we have to work very fast because we're in the sun. You're not supposed to wash in the sunlight. You're supposed to do it in the shade. Well, I don't have shade, so we're going to wash in the sunlight. We're just going to try and do it really fast. All right, it's soapy. Well, for a 20-minute power wash and dry job, it's better. Most of the water spots are off. Let's go stick it back in the barn. Park it away for a week or so. Don't take long to fill up a barn. Some equipment. A couple of real nice pieces there, let me tell you. We'll put the bean planter in there when we get that one cleaned up, but that might be a little while because double crop beans, which are looking less and less likely, but there is still that possibility, so we're not going to clean it up yet. And I'm guessing next week we're going to have to start thinking about getting the combine and grain cart out, so those aren't going to sit there for too much longer. I think we're done with the sprayer and the gator for a while. It's empty. We've used it, sprayed a lot of weeds. We'll need it again at some point, but for running around doing irrigation stuff, it's nice to not have it in there, so I'm going to go ahead and take this out. I'm still irrigating my sweet corn too. We're 2 days into this and we've made it from down there to here. It's significantly slower with a hose, but we're getting there. This later planted stuff looks really good. This is my latest planting. Oh, I'm gonna get soaked here. Anyway, I got room for one more down there, so pretty quick. Time to put the last of the sweet corn in. All right, we've got about 2 hours until the Traveler is going to be done. But I've got a lot of stuff up there I want to do. I've got that light, I've got the gas for the Traveler. I haven't been up there to check on it, so we're just going to go up there and work on some of that stuff that we can do now. We will stick around there if we get close enough to time to move it. If not, we'll just come back. But we've had a pretty productive day. I'm happy. We got the corn planter done. Lots of stuff happening, so that's good. All right, the first project I have is this light, and I'm trying to figure out where exactly I want to mount it. My first thought was I could go right on the end of this frame right there, something like that, just lag it in there, and then I just have to get a cord down into the box there with the motor starter in it and pull power from that, from the inlet side. Or I can come over here to the generator, whoops, didn't have it tight, and I can mount this up here. It would get it a little higher. Higher is better. It should light that area up just fine, and it would stay with the generator, and all I have to do is plug it in right in there with a normal 110 plug. I think I'm going to do that just because it's higher by quite a bit, and that corner, that metal is very sturdy and solid, so I don't think I'll have any issues there, and it should work just fine. There! That ought to help. It does have a dusk to dawn sensor on it. I'm gonna fall. Should kick on here. Well, whatever, it was on, it did work. I can't hold my hand over the photocell long enough to make it come on. There, it works. All right, next project was to finish this switch up. I got it mounted in there, and I think it's gonna work. I can't really move this lever with the pump running because it'll suck air if I do that. The problem was before we had just taken these wires and there were spade connectors on the old switch. This one has got screw terminals and I needed longer wires, so we put a spade connector with an extension into there. I'm gonna tape it all up. It should work. If it doesn't work, we'll pull them out and put them back, put the wire back together and just do it manually like I have been. Next up, we need to fill our vacuum pump oil bottle. Does it look any different? No, it doesn't to you, does it? Anyway, I put 6 pints in there, which is apparently what it holds. We've got exactly an hour left on our timer. We're gonna run out to our Traveler, put our gas in, see what it says for time and footage left and how close an hour is gonna be, and go from there. Just looked at our footage markings. We're at 144 feet, which means we need another 15 minutes on our timer. Really, we need another 12 minutes, but close enough. We'll ticket another 1 hour and 15. Should be good. Wait, is that right? Yeah, because in 120, it's 2 feet a minute. 120 would be an hour, 60 minutes. So, yeah. Whew, this corn is hurting. Rolled up like a pineapple here. It's coming. Help is on its way. Quickly. For some of you. Anyway, let's walk out here and look at our gun. It looks like it's working really well. I'm curious what our pressures are since I changed that nozzle because I haven't been by the gun when it's been running to see. 60, no, that's close to 70 there. 68, we'll call it. That's good. That's good. I got the chart back in the office of how many gallons per minute that is. It's like 380, I think. Maybe it was 411 or something at 70. 60 PSI was 381, I think. I don't know. We'll go back and look. So we're right around 400 gallons a minute, which isn't too bad. Yeah, this corn needs watered. Needs water now. Well, there's no reason for me to stick around up here for another hour, so we'll go click that timer 1 more notch to another 15 minutes and head back to the farm until we got to come back up here in an hour. It is really starting to show up what got water and what hasn't.
So this is one of the lanes we did yesterday, and if you look up there by the barn in that corner, we didn't get any water up there. We couldn't reach it, and it's drastic difference. I got that rock. Oh, we're gonna need to fill that hole in so that it doesn't tip over our gun cart when we get down here. Here's my chart. I was off a little bit. So it's 70 psi. Comet Twin 202 Pro, that's what we've got. And we go to the 1.28 nozzle, 70 psi. We're at 384 gallons per minute. Spread pattern is 407 feet, which with 370 foot lane spacings means we're shooting the water plenty far. Now, when we were at the 1.38 nozzle, we were closer to 60 psi, or maybe a little under. It's 413 gallons per minute, 400 foot spread pattern. That's why I liked that one, and I will probably put that one back in after we make our first pass, because lower pressures means your pump can put more volume out, and yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, dang, look at that. Dad got the red painted on the barn. Looks good. I think he's cleaning now. Yeah, nice. All right, time to go move our Traveler. We're on the north end of that field where we've got those short poles in front of that ditch in the woods there. So the next 3 poles for sure are all short, which means it's gonna be a long night, because we don't have 8 to 10 hour poles. We have 4 to 5 hour poles, if that, and some of them are probably shorter. But we're gonna get across here a little quicker. We'll move lane to lane faster. We've got 5 more poles on the north end of the field, 4 on the south end of the field to finish everything the first time. I've gotten that question a couple times too, and we'll talk about it more in depth in another video, but I've always figured it takes me a week to get over this field, and we won't be stopping once we get done with it. We'll just start right back over right in the middle where we started from. Wait, it's already off. All right, we gotta close our valve, pick up the Traveler, and spin it and pull it back. Just gotta hook it up to the tractor and we're ready to go. Okay, we are just over 600 feet. 600 feet at 2 feet a minute. It's 5 hours. So, let's go start up our pump. I did start the Traveler. I got it retracting already. I can do that as long as it stays running. After we start to pump up, then it's all good. And I don't have to drive all the way back down here. But you do have to kind of watch it long enough to make sure that it's still running. I've tried that before, and then for some reason the Murphy switch gets a pressure spike or something, and it drops, and then it shuts down, and then it pressurizes again, and then your reel is not running, and you're like, oh crap, that's not good. It sits in one spot. Moment of truth of whether our switch works. Negative. It does, it's just not, I'm not pushing it far enough. All right. I have to adjust later. So the river seems to be running a little clearer today. I know you guys can't see through it and stuff, but like if you look over there, you can see all the way through to the bottom. It's not very deep. It's wide and the water runs through here pretty quickly, but like right there where the light's shining, I can see the bottom. It's only a foot deep there or something. This isn't very big. We've got a bit of a hole here that I dipped out with the backhoe to be able to get our pipe under the water. But when I was having trouble with it clogging up, a few of you said to float that end of it so that it was suspended and off the bottom. Well, I don't have enough depth to do that. If I get it up too high, then it'll start sucking air. And so we got to keep it in basically as deep as we can get it, which is where we're at now. Now, I've also noticed, I think I just said this, but the water's a lot clearer today than it was when we started. We had some rain, what, a week and a half ago now? And they had a lot more to the north where this river is coming from. It's fed from the central and northern part of our county, and we're on the southern edge of it. And so all that water was coming off of runoff or whatever, and it picks up mud and debris and stuff. Now, the water's running clear, and we're basically at our normal flow. This is all just mostly spring-fed or groundwater that's flowing down the river, and it won't ever get much lower than this. Maybe a little bit if it was super dry. I don't know. There is a USGS survey station on this that's about 3 miles downstream. We can look up the data on that and see how much water is actually flowing through this river at any given time. But it's a lot. It's a huge amount of water. I think when I looked it up a while ago, the lowest flow per day was over 40 million gallons a day. So there's just a huge amount of water here. And that was the absolute lowest flow at any given point throughout the year. The maximum was closer to 100 million gallons a day. Okay, well, I'm heading home now. Hey, can I tell you how nice it is to live closer? If I was still living in town that was another 5 miles away, whew, these middle of the night runs would not be fun at all. They were not fun at all. Here, you want to see me driving through the river? Here, I'll show it because it's exciting. So we've got a crossing here, but it's not very deep. There you go. Maybe I shouldn't show it. Some environmental people are going to be mad at me for driving through the river. Of course, they're probably already mad at me for pumping out of the river, so oh well. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm going home. I would film this stuff at 11, but I want this video done, edited, and uploaded by then because I don't want to do it at midnight tonight when I need to be sleeping, especially given that the next run is only going to be a 6-hour run or slightly more than. And so if I get it started by midnight, I have to be back at 6 a.m. So sleep is at a premium. I have to wake up at usually sometime around 3:30 with the baby every night and go feed her. So yeah, sleep's at a premium. So anyway, thanks for watching this one. Tomorrow, more irrigating, and we're gonna go pick up some boxes from some seed customers, figure out what else is going on, something to do. Next week, probably get the combine out and stuff, but we'll find stuff for tomorrow without doing that because, well, I'm not ready yet. So anyway, like and subscribe, questions, comments, leave them down below. If you got any more questions or stuff about the Traveler versus a Pivot and why, let me know, but hopefully I answered your questions there. Tomorrow, we'll see. Let me know what you want tomorrow's topic to be. If you get it in early enough, maybe you'll influence my decision. But I wanted to talk about the timing thing a little bit. I wanted to talk about expected yield gain and why we're doing this and is it worth it and all that kind of stuff. So anything else, let me know and we'll get them addressed. See ya. Have a great night.